We are stepping into the world of suspense and intrigue, just in time for the spookiest season of the year. Joining us is David Matalon, one of the brilliant writers behind Amazon's latest cinematic thriller, Totally Killer. David, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
So I do have to bring up, before we get into the Totally Killer, we talked to Chris Woolsey a couple weeks ago about this movie called The Clearing, and he was just raving about how wonderful it was, and you were actually behind that. You were one of the writers and director of that movie. How was that experience for you?
Oh, it was fantastic. It was my first feature, and it was very different. It was an indie movie, so it was really small, so you're just moving quick, and you know, we did an incredible amount of setups per day, which means just how many times you move the camera around, basically. But the result is just kind of this action-packed thrill ride. It stars Liam McIntyre, who was on the show Spartacus. He was Spartacus, and he's fantastic in it. And it's a lot of fun. It's you know, edge of your seat, pulse-pounding action.
Yeah, absolutely. And so this movie, Totally Killer, I need you to tell me about it.
Well, it's basically Back to the Future meets Scream. It's everywhere. If you haven't heard about it, just go on the internet or turn on your phone, because it's just everyone's been talking about it. It seems to be part of the conversation. It's an amazing movie directed by Nahnatchka Khan, and it's a family pleaser. Well, skews a little older because it has some horror elements.
And it also has a star-studded lineup. We have Kiernan Shipka, Julie Bowen, Olivia Holt.
Yeah. They're all amazing. The cast, the acting's fantastic. Randall Parks is in it, plays our sheriff. They just did such a great job. I went to the premiere last week, and it was just like, it was great to hear the audience laughing at all the jokes and hitting the heartbeat moments. It's just, they killed it.
Yeah, and so this movie came out like this week?
Yeah, it just dropped on Amazon this past Friday. It's got an 87% on Rotten Tomatoes. It was 85. I'm not even sure what it is now, but people have been loving it, and the feedback and the outpouring from viewers has just been wonderful.
Yeah, and now how did you manage? So it's a horror film, but there's humor elements to it. How did you blend all of those together?
Well, I think it's really interesting when you start to scripts are kind of built and structured more than people realize. And I think when you start to build this, you start to think, well, what are my horror set pieces, the bits where it's going to be scary, and what are my funny bits? And luckily, a modern day teen going back to the 80s and the comparison between, I'm always having that conversation, when you were a kid in the 80s, you didn't wear a helmet on your bicycle. Your mom left you in the supermarket parking lot asleep on the back of the car with the windows down. It was a very different world. And I think juxtaposing today's life, especially for teenagers, with then, and also the whole idea of how we feel our parents never understand us, and then getting to go back and see what your parent was like when they were your age. I think that just is naturally funny. Yeah,
absolutely. And I do want to ask you, since I have you here, any advice you have for aspiring screenwriters?
That's a great question. Thank you. I think I do have it, because I came out of NYU Film School kind of just knowing nothing. I'm like, I'm going to Hollywood. I'm going to make it. And it doesn't quite work that way, funny enough. I'd say for some people it's a sprint. For some people it's a marathon. So if I'd advise, once someone said, if you could do anything else, do it. I couldn't, so I did this. But if you can hang in there, you can get ahead. And in terms of writing, I'd say write what you love, but also write something you think other people are going to love too, because there is a business element. It's show business, and that will help you engage producers who want to make your material.
Absolutely, David. That's wonderful. And congratulations on this movie. It seems like you totally killed it, pun intended. And everyone can watch it on Amazon.
Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime, available 24/7.
Totally Killer. Watch it now. We're back in 2 minutes.